Yes, people, it's Cam, and here is my $1 million VSL script. I don't really have anything else to say in the intro, so let's jump straight into the computer. So here's my $1 million VSL script. Now, I actually made me and my clients way more than $1 million, but it doesn't sound as cool. Like if I said like the 2,600,000 and whatever, so $1 million. But before I show you my structure, I want to let you guys know that there are different tones to a VSL. So not all VSLs have to be super professional. Professional is not really the right word, but they don't always have to be super stiff and uppity and talking. You could argue that this video is a VSL and I just talk naturally. I normally talk quite naturally in my videos, even in my B2B ones. That's because that's my brand. Your brand might be different. You might work in finance, for example, and you have to wear a suit and tie in your VSLs, or you might be a fitness influencer, in which case you might be in the gym, working out, whatever you want to do. There's different tones. Now, the easiest way to see the different tones is, I quickly show you my VSL. This is one here, recorded in the office, and here is a different one, which is recorded at home. So there's the different tones shown right there. And if you have a look at this video, you guys can find it. I'm not going to put the link there, but if you find it, you'll see in this video, we have a bit of a laugh and joke. And in this video, I do not have a laugh and a joke, right? So there's the differences. Another thing, there are different types of VSLs. So not all VSLs will follow this structure. That's something else I want you to know. This is the structure I do for most of my VSLs, but I make some that are different. For example, on Monday, I'm going to be recording a VSL for a Stripe business that we have. So just to let you guys know, we have a business where we buy and sell people's Stripe accounts. Basically, we have a lot of people in our community or in my network who live in Dubai, Vietnam, Thailand, for example, and they can't get Stripe accounts with instant payouts, so we buy and sell them for them. We're doing an FAQ VSL, so a different type of VSL. Next thing is how long should it be? And I always say that it should be about 2 to 12 minutes. That's normally the fine line. I always say you can't have a VSL that's too long. It can just be too boring. So as long as you're interesting, a long enough VSL is okay. And the last thing I want to let you guys know is that I learned this from Kai Bax. I'm paying homage. Kai Bax is the person, he taught it to me. I learned it in one of his courses that he made, and he's who I learned this from. Now, why I always use VSLs, okay? Just to explain. The first reason I always use VSLs is because there's no downside. There's actually no downside to using a VSL. There's nothing that can go wrong with it. I would always opt to make a video because there's no one that actually hates videos. If you have a video, it's not the end of the world. Next thing is that you can put a face to the name, which means it increases your trust, which therefore increases your perceived likelihood of achievement, which therefore increases your value, and therefore, again, increases the price that you can charge. So that's the second reason why I always use VSLs. My next reason is that it makes your sales calls easier. So it makes people almost ready to buy by the time they turn up to the sales call, which is always nice. Fourth thing is it helps add some individuality to your business. So I always like to show that I'm an individual. Many people are going to have the same offer that you have, even if you have the best, unique $1 million offer, or $100 million offer, should I say. It still helps you to stand out, being you. People might want to do business with just you. I have a lot of people that want to do business with me specifically, which is helpful. And then the last thing is that I always make content in all forms because different people like consuming different content. Some people like reading. If you like reading, well, I've written it out for you. If you like watching videos, then I will make a video on my website for you. All you guys that are watching this probably watch more videos than you read books. That's why you're watching this video. Same thing with a VSL. All right. Now, quickly tips for recording. Then I promise after this, I'm going to get straight into the structure. So firstly, focus on good lighting and good audio more than the best camera. People think that the camera is super important. You can record with your iPhone as long as you have one of these bad boys and one of those bad boys off the camera is lighting that point too. Next thing is base it off of a structure and not a script. So in this video, I base it off of a structure and not a script, so it's natural. Next thing is record it 3 times in full and pick the best one. Next one, nice background is important. Sprinkle in testimonials throughout. And my last thing I want to say is start now, perfect later. No matter what you do, your first VSL will be rubbish. Your first video that you record will be terrible. So instead of delaying 6 months and trying to perfect it, I've always found that videos are the thing that I procrastinate the most on. probably the thing that you procrastinate the most on, because it's also the thing that my clients procrastinate the most on, right? People don't like recording content, okay? Because of that, start it now. Your first one's gonna be rubbish. It's fine. You're gonna think it's terrible, record a new one next week, think that one's terrible. In 10 years' time, you're gonna look back at all of these and think they're all terrible. It's absolutely fine, right? The sooner you start, the sooner you're gonna get good. Cool. So my structure. The first thing that I do is I start with a bold and bodacious headline. That's the first thing that I do. Very similar to clickbait. So when you start a video, you might say, hey, here's my $1 million VSL script. A bit like what I did. Okay. Now, the aim of this is to get your audience to keep watching, tell them the overall theme and the problem that you will solve from the video. Now, if you're stuck on this, the formula I've used many a time is desired transformation isn't rocket science. So building your own VSL isn't rocket science, or making 150K a month from a VSL isn't rocket science, or increasing your booked call rate from your VSL isn't rocket science. Bold, bodacious headlines work best when you speak specifically to your audience's desired transformation, okay? So that's step one. Next thing that you do is unequivocal proof and framing, okay? Now, anybody can make a claim, but very few people can back it up. So you've just made this big claim. So for example, I've just said $1 million VSL. Now, anyone could say that. The next thing you do is you prove it. Now, unfortunately for me, I don't have proof of this in this video. Watch my videos, check me out, find me, you'll know that it's true. But in your VSL, if this was on a landing page, I would have proof. Anyone can say that they've made millions of pounds, or they help their clients do this, or they help people to lose weight. Next thing you do is you back it up, okay? Give people a reason to listen to you. When I click on a video, it matters who's talking. If someone that doesn't have a business or has never done this before is talking, you don't listen to them. If it's someone that's done it many times and you know for sure they have, then you can listen to them, okay? So give people a reason to listen to you, but also keep it brief. Nobody likes to show off. So don't talk for 25 years about all the cool shit that you've done, cool stuff that you've done. No one cares. Next thing, reassuring via identification. Okay, that's the third step. Now, this is where you prove to your target audience that you understand them. The very first thing that you have to do after making sure that people listen to you and know that you've done it before is you have to let your target audience know that you understand them. Now, the best way that I can explain this is, I don't know, maybe you have a friend who's going through a breakup, right? And you've never gone through a breakup in your life. And you're trying to explain to them that, look, bro, it's fine. Like, look, all you got to do is you keep your head up and in time, it's going to feel better. And they're going to come back to you and say, you don't know what it's like to be like me. You've never experienced this. And they're right. That's why they're not hearing you, because you haven't experienced it. Now, if you approached it differently and you said, look, I know at the moment you're missing your girlfriend, right? I know you really miss her. And I know probably more than anything, you just want to get her back. If you start with that, you're now talking to their current feelings. So now they're going to accept that you understand them. So big thing, if people don't feel like you understand them, they never feel like you can help them solve their problems. Now I'm going to show you how you do this. First thing that you do is you identify with their current state. So you say to them, look, I know you miss your girlfriend at the moment. And the more specific you get, the better. I know you probably sometimes look through your camera roll and look at all those old pictures and, you know, all this extra stuff. Second thing that you do is you identify with their desired state, where they want to go. And I know all you want to do is be laid up, cuddling, watching a film with them. That's their desired state. Now, the third thing that you have to do, remember, you can't just say that to someone and then just leave them there, because then they're going to feel like rubbish. You've told them where they are at the moment. You've told them their desired state, and that's probably a big gap. That's why they're watching this video. The bigger the gap, the more likely they are to want to watch this video. You actually have to assure them that if you just listen to me, I'm going to tell you how to get back with your missus, because it's not actually that difficult. And the thing is, you want it to be, at least with your help, it's not that difficult. If you make it seem like, you know what, you want to get back with your girlfriend and you're never going to be able to do it. And now they're switched off. They don't want to listen to you. You have to let them know that it's kind of achievable. Okay? Now, fourth thing that we do is human-to-human connection and credibility. This is a big part. Show some personality. Be a human being. Talk about some of your struggles, right? I don't like people, they try and do this VSL thing where they're perfect and they do the robot and they read from a script and it's like, hello guys, today I'm going to show you how I made all this money and how I can help businesses to make this money. Talk about the problems that you went through, how things weren't always this way, a previous struggle. Doing this Accepting your flaws, being a human being is going to massively help people to trust you. And if they trust you, they're more likely to buy from you, all right? As much as people are buying a service, they're still buying from a person. So showing you're human goes a long way. And don't forget to throw in some subtle brags. So a lot of people, where they go wrong in their VSLs is that they have a specific section where they touch on testimonials. They say, oh, here we made this guy this much. Here we made this guy this much. If you can throw in a few subtle brags, it's different. So for example, you might say, to be fair, at this stage, when I first started my business, my VSLs weren't good. But when I moved over to Dubai and we bought our huge office, that's 25 stories, then we actually learned that what you're meant to do is subtle brags. It wasn't so subtle, but you know what I'm trying to do. Okay, now, next thing, approach, synopsis. Now, this is a bit flaky. If there was a stage that was flaky, it's this one. If there was one you don't have to include, it's this one. Okay, now, this is a very simple part, and you talk about your system overall. To be honest, you string people along here. So here is just before you're going to start talking about your system as a whole. You talk about the individually, before you start breaking down your system, a bit like what I did. I keep talking about the $1 million VSL and da-da-da-da-da. That's an approach synopsis. This part is detailing your approach, okay? Which is more important. Detailing your approach is make or break. Now, the rest of the VSL, everything prior to this can be done in a minute. But this part is the longest and the most important part of your sales letter. I want you to think about that and kind of get that through your head if possible. Now, here, you want to give out as much useful, I've bolded that, information as possible. But you also want to keep it as brief as possible. Okay, now I guess that they're kind of counterintuitive, but you want to give people so much value, but you don't want to waffle on for too long. It's what I'm trying to do here. You might tell me I'm waffling on, but I'm trying my best to give you the useful information. The more information you give out, the better. Do not withhold your stuff. Do not hold your secrets. Right? If you think that people are going to buy secrets, probably a scammer. If you think that if you tell people your secrets, people aren't going to buy, you're dead wrong, right? And you're probably not as good as you think you are. That's why you want to hide your secrets. I let my secrets out. I tell you guys how to do it. You're going to try and do it, but really you're never going to be able to do it as well as me because you haven't got the reps in. So then you're going to approach me and say, hey, Cam, like, what about this one? That's when I come in, okay? So you want people to think, wow, that was so helpful and it was free. Imagine how much he'd, or she, to be fair, sorry, that was a bit sexist, he or she would help if I paid him, right? A little bit like what I'm doing in this video. You want to help people so much they think, wow, this is free. Imagine when I paid a guy how much he helps, or gal. Next thing, the way that you do that, okay, is detailing your approach. I'll be honest, I thought it was going to the next slide, but it's still detailing your approach. The way that you do it is you break down their desired transformation into a 3 to 7 step system that they must follow. Now, the reason I say this, and the reason I say this is so important, is because the number one reason that people don't buy from you is because of low perceived likelihood of achievement. So they don't think that your system is going to help them go from A to B. It's not because you haven't promised them this big thing. It's because they don't think you can help them get from A to B. Now, the easiest way to help someone think that the easiest way to encourage someone to believe that you're going to be able to help them go from A to B is by breaking down each system. So when you talk about someone's current state and their desired state, there's probably a gulf, there's probably a big gap, right? And they feel like they can't get there. But instead what you do is you say, look, the first thing you have to do is you just have to do this. Can you do that? You can, okay. Next step, you just have to do this. Can you do that? You can, okay. Next step you have to do is you just have to do this. Can you do that? Okay, brilliant. You keep doing that until, as a byproduct, they get to their desired state. And if you explain that to someone, for example, like what I'm doing here, I explain each step by step, and you think, I can do that, you know. When you initially talk about the $1 million VSL, you're like, I can't do that. But when I break down each step, you're like, I probably can. Makes it less overwhelming, helps them to see how your system will help. Now, top tips for this. 1, go against the grain. I'm not really going against the grain here, but ideally, if you can go against the grain, it's always going to help you to stick out. Next thing, and you'll see if you watch my VSLs, we go against the grain. Next thing is you need to be genuinely helpful, and then you need to be based off of fact and not opinion, okay? So that is the bulk of the VSL. Next step is there are 2 parts. Now, people don't like to make decisions. So there will be people that have watched your VSL and they think this is fantastic. But because people don't like to make decisions, when faced with a choice, they will do nothing. So what I like to do, and you might think there's no need for this, but I like to let people know that you are making a choice at the moment. Your choice is either you work with me or you don't work with me. Because if you don't make people aware that they're making a choice, then people think that they're making no choice, which is easier. So people just crack on and continue to do what they're doing. So I let people know that you can either work with me and reap all these amazing benefits, or you can keep doing what you're doing and have a terrible life. Essentially, that's how the two parts go. The way it goes for me is, so at this stage, you've got two things that you can do. You can either book a call with me, buy my course, pay me £1 million, send me a message, subscribe to me, whatever it is, and then get desired transformation. Or alternatively, what you can do is you can keep doing what you're doing and keep having a failing business. That's how you do the two parts. So, last part. The last thing that you do, and there's 8 steps. I actually thought there was 10, but there's 8 steps. The last thing that you do is you reiterate who this is for and you add testimonials, okay? So, my structure for this is very simple. So, just to reiterate, if your current state and you want desired state, just like case study and case study, then call to action. So it might say, so just to reiterate, if you're an e-commerce owner and you want to lower your, increase your return on ad spend, just like James and John did, then book a call below. That's how it goes. Very, very simple. Call to action, very important. You need to persuade people to act. This is one of the easiest ways to do it. Obviously, once you get more skilled, and if you've got silver tongue, you can work in some maneuvers, but that's probably the easiest way to do it. So that is the entire structure from start to finish. If that has been helpful, subscribe. If it's not been helpful, give it a thumbs down. At this stage, you've got 2 choices. You can either subscribe to me and watch all the content and make millions of pounds, or you can not subscribe and have a terrible life. I'll see you guys later. Bye.